Most people ruin their own potential with one soft question. What if it goes wrong? What if I fail? What if people judge me? That's why they stay stuck. That's why they never start. That's why they live their whole life wondering what they could have been instead of becoming it. But here's the question that actually matters. The one most men are too afraid to face. What if it does work out for you? What if the thing you're scared to start is the thing that changes everything? What if the dream you keep avoiding is the exact door to the life you want? What if the version of you you've been picturing, stronger, sharper, respected, unstoppable, isn't far away at all? He's just waiting for you to stop doubting and take the first step. This isn't wishful thinking. This is reality for every man who finally backs himself. Your life flips the second your mindset flips. The moment you stop asking, what if I fail, and start asking, what if I win, you move differently. You think differently. You become dangerous. What if you're closer than you think? You move through life like greatness is hiding behind some secret door. Like you need the perfect plan, the perfect mindset, the perfect moment before you start. But let me tell you something brutally real. You might already be standing inside the moment that changes your entire life. You just haven't realized it yet. What if success isn't far? What if it's not complicated? What if it's not about waiting, hoping, or overthinking? What if the difference between the man you are and the man you know you're supposed to be is just one more day of discipline, one more act of courage, one more moment where you choose strength over excuses? What if your entire life could shift from one decision you've been avoiding? See, this is what most men never understand. Progress doesn't always feel like progress. Sometimes it feels like pressure. Sometimes it feels like chaos. Sometimes it feels like you're doing everything right and nothing is happening. But that's exactly what happens right before the breakthrough. The storm always hits before the sky clears. The tension always spikes before the transformation. The discomfort gets loud because you're crossing a threshold. And that's the moment where most men quit. Not because they're weak, but because the breakthrough doesn't announce itself. It doesn't say, hold on, you're almost there. It tests you in silence. You don't feel the finish line until you cross it. You don't feel the strength you're building until you need it. You don't feel the transformation until it's already inside you. Think about your life right now. The frustration, the pressure, the uncertainty, the feeling that you're pushing hard but not seeing the result. That's not failure, that's proximity. That's what being close feels like. The world is checking if you're serious. Your future is checking if you're committed. Life is checking if you actually want the things you claim you want. Because the version of you you're chasing, the disciplined one, the focused one, the respected one, the dangerous, locked-in one, he doesn't come cheaply. He comes through sweat, sacrifice, and silence. He comes through saying, I'm tired, and going anyway. He comes through choosing discomfort over pleasure every single time it matters. But here's the part you need to hear. You wouldn't be feeling this fire in your chest if you weren't built for more. You wouldn't be frustrated with your life if you weren't meant to outgrow it. You wouldn't be hungry for change if change wasn't within reach. Look at the man you've been becoming. You're not who you were 6 months ago. Not mentally, not emotionally, not spiritually. You've already climbed half the mountain without realizing it. You've survived things that would have broken weaker men. You've handled pressure most people would run from. You've battled yourself, your doubts, your habits, and you're still standing. That alone proves you're closer than you think. So stand up straighter. Square your shoulders, shift your energy, lock your jaw. Because this is the part where you either break through or break down. And I know which one you're built for. Ask yourself this with absolute honesty. What if the next early morning, the next painful rep, the next uncomfortable decision, the next lonely night of discipline is the one that finally flips your entire fate? What if the one thing you've been putting off is the exact thing that creates the life you want? What if you're not stuck at all? You're ascending. What if you're not failing? You're leveling up. What if you're not lost? You're being sharpened. You're not far. You're not behind. You're not late. You're closer than you've ever been. And this is the worst possible moment to slow down. So keep going. Push harder. Move with purpose. Walk like a man who understands exactly how close he is to greatness. Because the truth is simple and powerful and undeniable. You're inches away, and those inches are worth fighting for. What if you are more capable than you think? You walk through life carrying weight that most people would collapse under. Yet you still wake up, still stand up, still push forward. And the crazy part, you don't even give yourself credit for it. You've gotten so used to surviving that you forgot surviving itself is proof of your strength. You forgot how many times you rebuilt yourself quietly, how many nights you held your own world together with nothing but grit and stubborn willpower, how many moments you felt done but something inside you refused to let you quit. That's not weakness. That's not luck. That's not coincidence. That's capability. Raw, untamed, unpolished, but real. You look in the mirror and you see flaws before you see progress. You remember your mistakes before your victories. You replay your failures louder than your effort. But that's because you hold yourself to a higher standard. Only strong men do that. The weak stay comfortable. The weak justify. The weak settle. But you demand more from yourself, even when nobody's watching. Ask yourself, what kind of man survives everything you've survived and still has the hunger to want more? A man with potential, a man with vision, a man who has no idea how powerful he actually is. You've been trained by your struggles, shaped by your losses, sharpened by your disappointments, forged by your pressure. Pressure is not your enemy, it's your coach. It's the silent force molding you into the man you're meant to become. Most men crumble under the slightest stress. They fold at discomfort. They run when life gets heavy. But you didn't run. You didn't fold. You didn't surrender. Even on your worst days, you carried yourself like someone who still had a future worth fighting for. And that takes a level of strength that most people will never understand. Look at your life. Every storm you walked through left you tougher. Every loss taught you something that made you smarter. Every setback rebuilt your backbone. Every scar on you is proof that you showed up even when you were wounded. That's not normal. That's not average. That's not just trying. That's masculine resilience. The kind of inner power that men spend years trying to develop. And here you are, already carrying it without even realizing it. Now imagine, truly imagine, what would happen if you stopped doubting yourself and started respecting the man you've been becoming. Imagine if you walked like you belonged, moved like you were built for big things, spoke with intention instead of insecurity, trusted your instincts instead of overthinking your greatness, carried yourself like a man who's been through hell and came back with a lesson, not excuses. You're operating at a fraction of your potential because you keep waiting to feel ready. But readiness isn't a feeling, it's a decision, a switch, a moment where you say, I'm done questioning myself, it's time to step up. Once that switch flips, your discipline changes, your standards rise, your energy shifts, your presence gets heavier, your mindset gets sharper, your actions get bolder. People won't recognize you, but you will, because deep down, you've always known you were meant for more. You're not weak. You're not behind. You're not failing. You're leveling up. You're preparing for a version of life that requires a stronger, colder, more focused version of you, and you're already building him every day, even on the days you doubt yourself the most. So hear this clearly. You are more capable, more powerful, more disciplined, and more mentally tough than you have ever allowed yourself to believe. Stop underestimating yourself. Stop shrinking your potential. Stop acting like you're average, because you're not. You are a man in the making, a man built from pressure, driven by hunger, sharpened by pain, and destined for more. The moment you finally see that, everything in your life will rise with you. What if your risks pay off? Most men don't fear risk. They fear becoming a version of themselves that forces the world to take them seriously. Risk isn't some dramatic leap into chaos. Risk is the moment you stop living as the watered-down edition of yourself and start acting like the man you could be if you finally stopped holding back. Risk is the battlefield. Comfort is the coffin. Most men choose the coffin. They rot slowly, quietly, politely. They avoid discomfort their entire lives and then wonder why nobody respects them, why nothing changes, why their potential feels like a ghost that follows them everywhere. You are not meant to be that man. You feel that. That's why you're here reading this. That's why something in you keeps stirring, something hungry, restless, unsatisfied. That's your future self trying to wake you up. Because every powerful man you admire was built through risk. The risk of embarrassment, the risk of looking stupid, the risk of failing publicly, the risk of losing, the risk of starting from zero and fighting for everything. A masculinity isn't quiet. Masculinity isn't passive. Masculinity isn't safe. Masculinity is action. Masculinity is responsibility. Masculinity is doing the thing that scares you and refusing to fold. Understand this. Every time you avoid risk, you avoid growth. You avoid the challenge that would sharpen you. You avoid the opportunity that would elevate you. You avoid the lessons that would strengthen you. You avoid the identity that would transform you. And nothing, absolutely nothing changes. So ask yourself the question that men avoid. What if avoiding risk is the reason you're still stuck in the same place with the same problems, thinking the same thoughts, living the same day on repeat? Now flip it. What if the risk you've been dodging is the one thing that would rewrite your entire life? Think about it. What if the move you keep postponing is the move that upgrades your environment, your mindset, your circle, your finances, and your future? What if the step you're scared to take is the step that makes you unrecognizable 6 months from now? What if the dream you're scared to chase is the dream only you were built to achieve? Most men never find out because they fold when it's time to act. They back down when courage is required. They choose the illusion of safety over the reality of transformation. But not you. You're not reading this to feel inspired. You're reading this because something inside you knows you've been playing small, knows you've been thinking too safely, knows you've been living below your standards for far too long, and you're tired of it. Good. Because here's the truth. Doing nothing is the most dangerous decision you can make. It guarantees loss. It guarantees regret. It guarantees mediocrity. It guarantees that 10 years from now you'll wish you had acted when you had the chance. Risk is the only path that leads to evolution. Risk is the only language growth understands. Risk is the one thing that separates men with stories from men with excuses. And once you embrace it, once you decide you'd rather face fear than live weak, everything changes. Courage shows up. Clarity shows up. Momentum shows up. Opportunity shows up. Respect shows up. A new identity shows up. The man you're meant to become shows up. So here's your cold reminder. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need every detail. You don't need permission. You don't need a guarantee. You just need to move. Move with uncertainty. Move with fear in your chest. Move with doubt in your head. Move with pressure on your shoulders. Move because staying the same is no longer acceptable. Jump, not because you're fearless, but because you're done being afraid of your own potential. Jump and let the man on the other side of that risk rewrite your entire story. Because when your risks pay off, and they will, you won't just rise. You'll become a man you once thought you could never be. What if you become everything they said you couldn't? Think about every doubt you've ever heard, every sarcastic good luck, every backhanded compliment, every time someone looked at you and quietly decided you weren't built for more. Think about every laugh that wasn't a joke, every insult you pretended didn't bother you, every moment someone treated you like you were harmless, forgettable, ordinary. Think about the teachers, the friends, the family, the strangers, all the people who thought they had you figured out because they only saw your present, never your potential. They thought you'd stay small, stay comfortable, stay predictable. But what if you rise anyway? What if you shatter the version of you everyone else settled on? What if you go so far that the same people who doubted you can't even look you in the eye because your presence exposes their excuses? What if you become the version of yourself you used to only imagine in silence? The man you saw in quick flashes, in small victories, in the moments you realized you were capable of something bigger but didn't know how to unleash it. What if that version becomes real? Picture this. You, stronger, sharper, colder when you need to be, warmer only when it's earned, more disciplined than anyone expects, more focused than anyone understands, more dangerous, not because you hurt people, but because nothing and no one can sway you anymore. A man with gravity, a man who carries himself like he knows exactly where he's going, a man who doesn't beg for respect, he commands it. Imagine walking into a room and people feel it before they see it. Your presence hits before your words do. That's not ego. That's evolution. What if you become the man they never saw coming, but deep down you always felt him growing inside you? Here's the truth nobody tells you. Becoming that man isn't some fantasy timeline. It isn't some motivational hype. It's a choice, a violent internal shift. It's the moment you stop apologizing for wanting more. The moment you stop shrinking so others won't feel insecure. The moment you stop explaining yourself to people who don't even understand themselves. It's the moment you replace the weak question, what if I fail? What will people think? What if I'm not ready? With the only question that unlocks your life, what if I win? What if it works? What if you become unstoppable? What if you break every limitation you once believed about yourself? What if the life you want has been waiting for you to finally stop playing small? Because here's the part nobody sees. When that mindset hits you, everything shifts. Your habits change, your energy changes, your confidence changes, your standards skyrocket. You start moving like a man who knows his value. You stop entertaining things beneath your level. You stop tolerating disrespect, laziness, excuses from others and from yourself. And once you start rising, once you start building yourself in silence, in pain, in discipline, in discomfort, there's no going back. Not because you can't, but because the old version of you no longer feels like home. That boy version, gone, buried, outgrown. A new man stands in his place. a man built, not born, a man forged, not gifted, a man who turns every "you can't" into "watch me." And the best part, the people who doubted you will pretend they always believed in you. The ones who counted you out will act like they supported you. The ones who mocked your ambition will suddenly call you lucky. But you'll know the truth. You built this. You earned this. You transformed. You evolved. You chose the harder path and made it look effortless. So now the question isn't, what if you become everything they said you couldn't? The real question is, are you ready to become the man they feared you might become? Because once you do, the world won't know what hit it. In the end, you spend so much time doubting yourself, you forget the most important question. What if you actually win? What if everything you want is just one decision, one risk, one moment of courage away? Stop doubting. Start moving. Your future is built by the actions you take right now. If this hit you, like the video, subscribe for more, and comment "I believe in me" to prove you watched till the very end. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is the belief that you can't have it. Believe, act, win. See you in the next one.